Beware, Maria, we're in this together. Today, Maria will share this space with her friend Fraser to talk about things we are together in. We start with the British historical comedy drama Pride, a 2014 movie directed by Matthew Warchus. Based on a real story, it tells about a group of lesbians and gay activists raising money for the families of those affected by the British miners' strike in 1984, in what will become the Lesbians and Gay Support the Miners campaign. And Fraser, who is a long-term survivor of HIV and a campaigner, will give us his insight and experiences. Beware. Okay, hello.
Hello.
So, Maria here today, very well accompanied by Fraser. Fraser, what would you like to tell us about who you are? How do I introduce you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just a friend of yours I met through Sing to Live because I'm HIV positive and I had read in lots of magazines, scientific magazines, New Scientist, things like that, that singing raises your antibodies.
We've just watched the trailer of Pride. Fraser, what do you think about it? Was it really like that?
It was definitely, that was authentic because I remember Gay's the Word bookshop in Bloomsbury. I used to go there to get gay literature and the joy of gay sex, things like that, find out what other guys were doing, and always took part in these political movements, and this was one of them, and I attended some of those meetings. And then on the Pride March, when they were raising money, I was contributing to that as well, because their battle was similar to our battle. They were, you think of a mining community as fairly traditional, and they don't really approve of things like homosexuality. I mean, quite often it's rural, and they really don't do that. So for a bunch of gay people to suddenly raise money for them, because we were both fighting the same thing, it was so powerful. It's so powerful, and that's why that film is so powerful.
Yes, I truly recommend it. I was not there in 1985. In 1985, in the summer of 1985, I was in Hastings learning English. But when I see that...
Yeah, Thatcher came in 79, and she just started... she was no way she was going to legalise the remains of homosexuality. It was still illegal. The way that the police would normally catch you is if you looked at a man inappropriately. It was called importuning, and they would stitch
importuning.
people. Importuning.
And how is importuning? Do you know how to do that?
If you look at somebody in the eye and you kind of...
Can I do it?
You got to get a direct eye contact, and then you both smile. And the police would get the prettiest guys they had, and they would be in plain clothes, and they would stand there, get your eye contact, and smile at you, and then suddenly their colleagues would appear, and you'd be arrested and prosecuted for importuning. And it was ideal as a blackmails charter. That's what was happening in the 1980s. And we just really wanted equal civil rights to everybody else. Why not? And so when the miners' strike came along, it was great because we could join with that community. And at the same time, that community suddenly realised we're not the enemy. So we all joined together. It was good. That bookshop, incidentally, was the most important lifeline because you got gay literature from all over the world. People you'd never heard of. I mean, it was an education to me because I knew nothing about all this, and I got really good books from there. Yeah.
Wow. I've seen the movie twice and I cry every time I see it. It's
that's fantastic.
Very much. I cry in the same point always, which is when they sing Red and Roses.
That is wonderful.
And they sing Red and Roses, and there's this girl who starts singing, and then others join and others join. I'm going to make a parenthesis here so I can speak a little bit about the song Red and Roses, which is a song that comes out of a political slogan, as well as the name of the poem. The poem was written in 1911 by a guy called James Oppenheim, and Martha Collingham set the poem to music. But originally that sentence, "Give us bread, but give us roses," comes from an American activist who was doing a speech. She was called Helen Todd. She was a suffragist. And in the speech, she was saying bread for all and roses too, which is associated with a textile strike in Massachusetts that took place in the year 1912, which is now referred as the Bread and Roses strike. Bread, she was saying, which is home, shelter, and security. And the roses of life are the music, education, nature, the arts, books, shall be the heritage of every child that is born in the country. So that's how the slogan was born, and then James Oppenheim picked on it and he incorporated it to his poem, and then it was put into music. I found some variations on the lyrics, and apparently the original poem says, as we come marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. And someone would think, as I think, that that sounds like an awful lot of work, and it's been changed into, as we come marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's comrades, and we fight as one with them, which is the one I've chosen to sing. I haven't found a recording that I can stream here, so I decided to sing it myself over the backings provided by YouTuber Monsieur Yak. So many thanks to Monsieur Yak. As we go marching in the beauty of the day, a million dog and kittens, our thoughts and beloved sway, all touched by all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we come marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's comrades, and we fight as one with them. Our day shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies, give us bread, but give us roses. As we come marching, and numbered women dead go crying through our singing, the ancient cry for bread. Small love and beauty, the Trojan spirits knew. Yes, it is a bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. But we fight for roses too. This for bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. It is for bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too.
What's so powerful about that scene when you see it is that it's sort of everybody's chatting away and enjoying themselves, and suddenly this single voice starts singing the song, and gradually people begin to take notice, and then as other people realise what the words are, they stand up and join in, and more and more and more people join in, and you feel the momentum of the song building and building until it comes a triumphant anthem at the end. That is so powerful. I mean, even as I'm talking about it, I'm getting goosepimples just thinking about it.
That was beautiful. At the very end of the movie, let me find the movie clip. I think I need the movie. Pride, not Pride and Prejudice. Pride.
That's a different type of film.
There
you go. The march always started in the west somewhere, usually, I mean, nowadays it's usually Baker Street, and then we walk right through into the centre of town.
They say on June
June 29th. It's the end of...
June 29th, 1985,
Yeah.
London Gay Pride March was led by Welsh miners in a show of solidarity for LGSM support during the strike.
Yeah.
And you see they got balloons.
Yeah. And they had collecting tins as well to get more money because we needed it. And it was so fantastic that they came and showed that solidarity and, you know, to get something changed, you know. But Gay Pride Day itself is a wonderful day because it's a day when people relax and can be themselves. They don't have to conform to society's stereotypes. They can just be themselves. And you can see gay couples coming out and, you know, in public. It's such a wonderful day. It's a really, really important day.
One of the guys who is featuring more in the movie, Jonathan Blake, was one of the first people to be diagnosed HIV positive in the UK, it says. And in the year 2014, the movie was released, and it says he recently celebrated his 65th birthday. And there's the other one.
A sexy one with a quiff.
Mark Ashton continued to fight for political and civil rights causes. He died on February 11th, 1987, just after his diagnosis with HIV/AIDS. So we were in the 1985. Was it the beginning of it, or was it?
Well, I was in Newcastle upon Tyne at the time, just working up there as landscape architect, and I'd heard about the gay disease, which was referred to as a gay cancer, and we all thought it was caused by too much sex, perhaps, and maybe the use of amyl nitrates. That was one thing, or too many drugs or whatever. But one of the symptoms of it was the enlarged lymph nodes that you get in your armpits and on the back of your neck. And I remember in those days, as a gay political thing, you used to go for regular 6-monthly STD checkups, you know, sexual transmitted diseases checkups. In those days, the STD clinic was behind the shrubbery on the left-hand side, well away from the hospital, and you used to sneak down this path, and when nobody was looking, you'd jump behind the bushes and get into the clinic. It was kept separately from the hospital, and it was really, really, you know, I mean, the first time I went to one of these places was in Glasgow, and I remember going up to sitting in this huge room with these steel framed seats with canvas seats, and I was sitting here with all these guys in raincoats. I was a young gay man, you know, in my 20s, looked as fit as a fiddle, and when I was called up to the desk, you know, and the man behind the desk peered at me through his glasses, and he says, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Well, I've come for an STD checkup." "Oh, have you been with any dirty women then?" And I said, "No." I said, "It's just, you know, I've had sex, and so I didn't want to tell him I was having gay sex." And of course, when I got in to see the doctor, he was absolutely delighted, because this is what they were trying to do, is they were trying to get the gay guys to go in and be tested, because you're having gay sex, you can get syphilis, gonorrhea, God knows what. And so I used to do that anyway. And of course, going back to the AIDS story, I got these lymph nodes, and I saw my regular consultant there, and I said to him, "I've got these lymph nodes, what do you think they are?" And he said, "Oh, it could be leukemia, might be leukemia." And I said, "You don't think it's AIDS, do you?" "Oh no, we don't have any of that here." And the extraordinary thing is, this is 1982.
And where was that?
In Newcastle upon Tyne. 1982, and the extraordinary thing about that was I was a blood donor at the time, so every 6 months I was donating blood, and it wasn't until 2 years later, because they stored my blood, that they found out that I was HTLV3 positive, as it was at the time. And the extraordinary thing was, the doctor said to me, "Well, we found out that you're HTLV3 positive, so we told your GP, and you've got 3 to 5 years to live, so you need to put your affairs in order." And that was how they dealt with it. And I thought, fuck this, forgive the soldiers. And I...
How old were you?
I would have been 90, where are we talking, 1983? I would have been 24, 25. Yeah, 25. I was just, you know, starting my career. I was really going, I enjoyed my job. I was really going places. And I went on for 17 years without any drugs. I remained more or less healthy. I had lots and lots of diseases, but I didn't die. So much so that the consultants at the hospital said to me, "Well, I don't know, you should be dead by now. I don't know why you're still here." But my consultant was fabulous. He was a brilliant guy. He was called Dr. Fakoya, and he was from Nigeria, and he was the best consultant I ever had. He was a man of few words, but he was just brilliant, and he was absolutely right every time when he was doing diagnosis. So I was lucky. I had that treatment, really good treatment in London. I had to move from Newcastle to London. There was nothing in Newcastle, and they said I've got 3 to 5 years to live, and that's it. We've told your GP.
You got diagnosed in Newcastle or in London?
I got diagnosed in Newcastle upon Tyne. Yeah. Well, because the test came in about 1984. And of course, shortly before that, I'd had one fabulous night of sex with this American of, oh God, what's his name? I mean, I wrote to him afterwards, and there's no blame here, there's no animosity. I mean, they're both dead now. And but I really had a fabulous night when it happened. And he was a very sexy man, and I've no regrets about it. Just one of those things. I was delighted to have a good night of sex for once, because it was hard to find. I didn't have a lot of sex. I wasn't promiscuous or anything. It was really hard. And met at Casablanca Club in Newcastle, 1982. And then after that I moved to London, and the healthcare in London at that time, at the James Clinic, was absolutely brilliant, and the consultants there were the best. They really were good. That later became the Mortimer Market Clinic, and they are just the best. It's the way they engage with patients. They treat you as equals, and you discuss. They don't tell you what to do. I had a brief time later on, about 20 years later, when I thought of moving to the country, and I went back up to Lancashire, and I signed up with a HIV clinic there, and it was like Newcastle 20 years previously, with a doctor talking down to me, and I couldn't stand it, so I went back to London, because the healthcare in London was the best, and it was the only place to be. So that was that. But there you are. But it was 2001 when I started taking drugs.
It was 2001.
Yeah, the antiretrovirals. Because before that, they were giving people AZT. AZT was supposed to be the cure. And a very famous drug company was created by AZT. And it wasn't until the Concorde trial came along, which was a European trial, I think started by the Pasteur Institute in Paris. And they found that AZT was completely useless against HIV, but a very famous drug company was created because of it. And people were paying loads of money to get a hold of AZT, but it was toxic. And unfortunately I didn't take it. One of the guys I was having sex with at the time, he was taking it. He died shortly afterwards because of the toxins in AZT. Yeah.
Fraser, I'm shocked that you were told in the 80s something like, you've got this and you've got 3 years to live.
Oh, yeah. Bless him, he was doing his best, but he was completely untrained and undeveloped, and he said, yeah, you got 3 to 5 years. He actually later apologised to me, because by an ironic twist, his superior was the father of a friend of mine. I'd been to university with his daughter, and so he recognised me, and this was in Glasgow, not in Newcastle. And he recognised me, and he said, oh, sorry, your GP's been told, we'll get that deleted. And it was. And later on, Dr. Patman apologised to me. He said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But it's not his fault, because it was the early stages of the epidemic. Yeah. And he hadn't, this was new to them.
So how is it now?
Now it's, I don't even think about it now. I just have to take my drugs every day. And I'm not infectious. I mean, if the governments of the world wanted to eradicate HIV, they could do it easily, because we've got Truvada, which is the main drug. And as we found out, guys bought it online, and the rate of HIV in London dropped dramatically. So it works. If you give people the drug, you'll get rid of the disease. I mean, last statistic I heard, there were 30 million cases of AIDS in the world. And there were up to 1 million cases died last year. And we could eradicate it. If governments focused, we could eliminate it. But it's not a priority.
So you think a young person who gets HIV now, tomorrow is being diagnosed, do they get a lot more support I imagine.
They definitely do. There are certain clinics in London that don't ask any questions, like the Dean Street Clinic, places like that. I recently had a case of a friend who had a refugee from North Africa who came to London, and they had sex and ended up, he got gonorrhea. So he went to this refugee and said, look, you need to get this treated. The guy said, I can't get treated because I don't want to be recognised. If I'm found, I will be sent back to wherever it is, and I will be killed if I go back. So I don't want anything to do with that. We got this guy an Arabic translator, and we took him to Dean Street, and he's now treated, and he's now okay. And that's because Dean Street promises to treat people but not to tell stories. And so that way, that's the only way you're going to eradicate this. Because, if you want to know all your details, where do you live and where are you from, and blah, 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 you're not going to defeat it. And then it'll just become a rampant disease again. You have to be targeted. Yeah. This guy's okay now. And he's applying for asylum. So hopefully he'll get it.
And what about other kind of support? Mental health support?
Well, as I say, the singing thing was a brilliant idea.
Yes.
It was just such a good thing. I mean, I joined 2 HIV positive choirs, and they were both absolutely brilliant.
And I have to say, I was conducting one of them.
But it was not just. I mean, the thing that amazed me about Maria's choir was the range of music we did, because we did music hall, we did David Bowie,
we did Bring Me Sunshine.
Yes, Morecambe and Wise. Yes, and we did. We even did Verdi. We did the Slaves Chorus from Nabucco, and we did a Spanish folk song. But it was so beautiful because when we sang it in harmony, you just felt you were in a hot place in the evening, and the sun was coming down, the shadows were deep blue, and I felt I was in Spain.
And that's why you think of Spain, it's always blue and hot.
It was just brilliant, that song. But we also did
we can't remember the lyrics.
But that was
Halanto, very nice.
And then we did a South African song. It was so delicious about these songs with the harmonies, because there were only maybe a small group of us, but we could hear the other people singing, and you could hear your harmony. We did Schubert, we did Heilig by Schubert,
we did a lot
which
of things.
Is one of my favourite songs.
We had a lot of fun.
That's what I liked about Maria's choir, was the diversity of the music. It would come from anywhere, and so you got a chance to do anything, and that was what was really important, and that was an absolute treat. Yes.
And you remember that we also created a song.
We did. We made the song up ourselves.
It was very good, because I think that at the beginning the group was not talking as much between them as when we went through the process of doing the song, because this song was created through a process of improvising. And we did writing papers, read little things, exchange, get a partner to break down in smaller groups and discuss, and then come back to the group with what we've done, and we put it upside down until we got the lyrics and the music.
That was a brilliant exercise. I mean, the whole thing about that choir, it was a very good little group, because I think there was only about a dozen of us, mostly gay men.
Yeah.
But we all got to know each other, and guys I met in those groups I am now still in touch with, which is amazing, that you form these kind of relationships. And we did, and it was really, really good. It was excellent.
It was fun.
Just a shame it never got more coverage, but there you go.
I think that we're going to finish with playing the music of the song that we did.
Yeah.
Which is called Together.
Yes, that's
it's
right.
Called
Together. Yes.
And it ends with a very relevant sentence that we say many, many times, which is, we're in this together.
We're in this together.
Well, instead of singing it here, let's listen to it. Thank you for being there today. Thank you, Fraser, for joining.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, let's go for it. this has been all for today. I want to add, I'd like to thank every member of the Bloomsbury Choir during the time it lasted for their dedication and their enthusiasm, and as well as the Bloomsbury Clinic Patients Network that make this group possible. And I have very good memories of it. If you would like to read the lyrics of the piece We're in This Together, write to me at bewaremaria@gmail.com.